This week, we found out horrifically that Apple may still have every single picture and video you've ever recorded, even if you permanently deleted them. A teenager who disappeared more than 27 years ago is just being found alive, less than 200 meters away from his family's house in his neighbor's cellar. How? We got some bizarre new updates from that video where all of those women's high heels were found in the middle of the desert. And I'm not even joking, if I disappear for a month, just know I'm not okay. We're gonna get into all of that and so much more, so let's get cracking. Okay, let's kick today's video off with this video.
Non, c'est bon, je vais aller demander.
As you'd imagine, this video has got people furious. It shows a man walking around the streets of Paris, stealing people's food and drink. And as you can see, pretty much all of them, with very little hesitation, don't really put up a fight and just give him what they've got. And I get it, while you're watching it, you're thinking, like, if that was me, right? If that was me, I would no way give someone for no reason. But I somewhat get it. If as a woman or even as a man, if someone comes up to you like that and you don't really know it's a prank, you're probably thinking in your head, well, is the confrontation or potential fight or something worth, you know, a 2-pound coffee or something like that? So you'd probably just be like, well, no, not really. So you'd give it to them. Hence why every single person apart from one gave it to him. But what's so strange about this video is that I've searched everywhere for who the hell this guy is and why he made the video. People in the comments kept on trying to make it about race when, let's be honest, streamers and TikTokers have been doing this sort of shitty prank for years now. And usually when something like this happens, it causes mass outrage and we find out who it is and they get huge hate. And most of the time the police get involved. Remember Mizzy. But this one, I haven't seen any news outlets reporting on it, and I cannot for the life of me find the person who originally posted this video. So as of right now, all of the context we have is what we see. We don't know if he gives them the stuff back. We don't know if it was a prank or whether he was just being a but hopefully with me posting about it, we'll get some answers. But regardless of whether it's a prank or not, it doesn't really make much of a difference. This kind of behavior publicly should not be tolerated. And ultimately, I hope the police do see it and get involved and hit the man with some consequences. Let's move on. Okay, this next one is hilarious. Chaos erupted in Taiwan's parliament on Friday after a dispute broke out over a controversial reform bill. So what do you do if you really don't want a piece of legislation signed? Well, if it doesn't exist anymore, how can it be? In the middle of all of the chaos, one of the MPs snatches the document and pretty much, as if it was a rugby ball, starts running through people and out of the room. And so immediately when I saw this, I said, okay, what the hell is this legislation? It must be pretty damn controversial. So apparently, after doing a little bit of research, one party in Taiwan wants to give the parliament more power to check the government's actions, including a controversial plan to punish officials who lie in parliament. But the other party, who our track star belongs to, really do not want this passed because, quote, they are used to having all of the power and this legislation would take some of that away. But either way, as you'd imagine, this kind of tactic didn't really go very far and the bill was ultimately passed anyway. But I mean, let's be honest, if that was introduced as a political tactic, and let's say if you could physically keep a bill from passing and you can hide it for 24 hours, that would be cool. That's the kind of politics I would watch. Anyway, moving on. Okay, now this next video, apart from it being just absolute insanity, it doesn't make any sense to my brain. Okay, so apart from this just being like a scene out of a movie, my real question is, where the hell did that car come from? Alex, just play it twice over and just really pay attention to the car that smashes into the truck because it just appears. You see what I mean? I've watched this 100 times and I still don't get it. Now, if you're wondering if she made it out okay, firefighters confirmed that the driver was pulled from the truck with ropes and ladders and was back safely on the bridge about 45 minutes later. I mean, unlucky it was in New York, because you probably would have been saved by Spider-Man in about 5 minutes. moving on. Oh, talking about crashes though. I mean, this happened last year, but it was the first time I saw it, and I'm not laughing. But how are you gonna get hit by Google Maps? So, bro over here decides, let me just crack out a U-turn on my bike into oncoming traffic. Should be fine. The next image we see is like a jumble of things, and I think that's his arm, but I'm not really sure, and I have no idea what position he is in at this point. It is a jumble. Next one, we know, and bro is face down, ass up. His helmet has come off. I'm pretty sure his shoe has left his feet. I'm pretty sure he's not just riding around bare feet. And I think at this point, it's safe to say he's probably realizing his mistake. And then the last thing that you can see through all of the dust is one of his shoes and his motorbike. I mean, it's unlucky because, I mean, out of all of the cars you could have been hit by, Google didn't really like this kind of thing going viral. They were probably thinking, God damn, that's our insurance driving around the world gone straight up. And so they have blocked it from being seen, but they can't stop the internet from doing its thing. So there you go. Moving on. Okay, now as I have warned, if I disappear for at least a month, I'm not going to be okay. Because just about a 40-minute drive from where I am in the UK, hundreds of people have started falling ill with diarrhea and vomiting because there is a parasite outbreak in the water, in the taps. And I mean, it's hard to even believe it. I live in the UK and we don't have clean water to drink right now. I feel like I'm about to see an Oxfam commercial saying, with your £5 donation, we can help supply the poor British people with clean water. So let me tell you what's happening. Southwest Water is now urging everyone in the affected areas to boil their water, including when you want to drink it or even just cook with it or brush your teeth. Side note for everyone that does this regularly, here in the UK, we usually can just drink water from our taps. So this is very unusual for us, but it gets so much worse. They're saying that Devon's water crisis could last for 10 days. A school has been forced to shut down. People are now panic buying water from supermarkets. Bottled water stations had to be set up to provide clean water for people to take home. And this illness that a bunch of people now have called cryptosporidium, well, because it's a parasite in the water, the NHS say that people will recover in about a month. I don't have a month to take off because I'm dying in bed with a parasite because the water is fucked. Southwest Water identified a damaged valve as the possible cause. Sorry, another side note, but Southwest Water, fun fact, has the most expensive water rates in the country. So, you know, only the people that pay the most money can get those premium cryptosporidium experiences. Woo! The latest in all of this is that in some areas they're lifting that boil water notice, but in others it remains. So, if this shit makes it down to where I am, and I don't post for about a month, I'm dying in bed with parasites, so yes, moving on. Okay, now this next one is unbelievable because this week a teenager who disappeared 27 years ago has been found alive, not only alive, but less than 200 meters away from his family's home. But what's even crazier about all of that is how, after all of these years, they finally discovered him. You see, Omar went missing in 1998 on his way to vocational school, and after a massive police search for him came up empty, his family sadly assumed that he was either kidnapped or he died in the civil war which was happening in Algeria at the time. Then, almost 30 years later, an argument breaks out between two brothers about an inheritance. Completely unrelated, right? Well, one of them gets so angry that he starts ranting about this on social media, but not only that, he decides to call the public prosecutor's office and says, you remember that teenager that disappeared 27 years ago? Yeah, well, guess what? He's in my brother's basement. Absolutely shocked and bewildered, the family hears about this and they say, hold up for a second, the brother that guy is talking about, he lives just down the road from us. So they decide to storm this guy's house, and to their horror, they find their now 45-year-old Omar in a hole in the ground, in a sheep's pen underneath stacks of hay. Now, because this has just happened in the last couple of days, we don't really know why Omar couldn't call for help for so long. The Algerian media report, and this is not a joke, they actually report this, and they say that he was under a spell cast on him by his captor, which is why he couldn't call for help. I mean, obviously take that with a pinch of salt, but Alex actually has his own theory on this. Now, I don't know if he wants to make this public or not, but I'll play you his voice clip that he sent to me in confidence in private, and I guess Alex can decide when he's editing this if he wants to keep it in or not.
And went down a really dark route of Algerian civil war torture techniques with ties and waterboarding. Anyway, this was a really odd story. Like, look at his beard at the end. That's so well maintained. Like, as a beard owner, I strive to have like straight, like defined beard like that. Mine's wild, and I live in like luxury.
Side note, Alex lives in luxury. Nice to know.
He is not a captive. I think. Look at his nice little jumper.
Look at his nice little jumper. Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt.
I think he's homosexual, and as is the man he lives with. And I think he just got outed by an Algerian mob who have broadcast this to the world, us including.
Ah, interesting. Interesting theory, Alex. Now, depending on what investigators find from this point, if it is a kidnapping, it will quickly become one of the longest kidnapping cases in history. But the most tragic part about all of this is that Omar's mother died in 2013, meaning she never actually found out the truth of what happened to her son. So I guess the question is, do you agree with the Algerian media or do you agree with Alex? Moving on. Now, this next story, guys, is a big warning. If you own an iPhone, do not update to the latest iOS before you watch this, because then at least you'll be warned. Apple is in yet another new scandal today because people who have updated to the newest iOS 17.5, well, they're saying that it's brought back old photos that they have deleted, and these are not photos that they deleted in the last 30 days. This person, who started a massive Reddit thread which just picked up a whole lot of steam, says they permanently deleted very sensitive pictures they made with their partner 3 years ago in 2021, but after updating to the latest iOS, they magically reappeared in the recent Photos album. I mean, just think about that for a second. And it's not just them. It seems that there's a whole bunch more. One said 4 pictures they deleted from 2010 reappeared repeatedly. And another person said, and oh, this is by far just the most terrifying, they completely wiped their iPad using official Apple guides before selling it to a friend. I feel like you know where this is going. That friend then called him today asking why the hell his old pictures had suddenly appeared on their iPad, including some revealing images. Woo! I know for a fact all of us have some family member or friend who we've given one of our old devices to, so a lot of people stressing right now. So maybe if you do have someone you know with an old device, give them a call. But I guess ultimately, it begs the question, if it's possible for really old pictures and videos to reappear, were they ever deleted in the first place? And if they are still somewhere, does someone have access to them, or are they just in the... Let's not even bring back what the cloud is. Or, plot twist, scrap everything. It's actually just Samsung, and they've hired hundreds of people just start fake rumors. The plot thickens, huh? But no matter what the truth is on this one, there's no plot twist, which is thicker than the new details that we've got on this new high heels in the desert video. Now, if you aren't up to date on the weird and eerie details on this one, maybe just go watch last week's one. But very essentially, a former Marine says that he believes he may have stumbled upon a serial killer crime after strangely finding multiple women's high heels in a very remote location in western Colorado. All caught up? Okay, now Levi has decided to go back to the location, but this time with 6 volunteers. And it wasn't long until they found even more strangeness. Firstly, they found an old t-shirt wrapped multiple times with wire, which had rocks in it. Now, the way that it was wrapped kind of eliminates the chance of it just being like tangled in there. It was wrapped multiple times. And they speculated that it may have been used as an anchor or just simply to make that t-shirt sink. And they were like, why would you want a t-shirt to sink in the first place? They also found 3 holes, which they say look like they've been dug by a shovel. They also found 2 more women's shoes, which brings the total to 12 pairs now, and a small bottle of vodka and a women's fake stick-on nail. Now, Levi says that they've taken pictures of all of this and they've now handed it over to authorities, despite them kind of brushing them off and saying, oh, it's probably nothing the first time. And on top of all of that, we even got a retired FBI agent making a video yesterday saying he thinks Levi is onto something and that this case is now on the top of his list. Although he could have been just making that video for views, but either way. But here's the part for me personally, which I find the most strange about all of it. All of the information that he presents is so odd, and it's so hard to come up with another theory as to why 12 pairs of women's shoes were found in the desert, and they all had a matching other shoe, and they all were women's. Why were there no men's? But despite all of this, he says that the sheriff's department said that it's probably nothing. So you're telling me millions of people all looked at what you said and they were all like, okay, yeah, It's very strange. But the sheriff's department doesn't? I mean, come on. There must be something that we're missing here. I mean, based off of the amount that I've watched, he seems pretty honest, pretty legit. But then again, obviously, you can never truly tell. He does have an epoxy business, which he is posting these videos from. And I mean, you could argue, is it just to generate views for that page? Maybe, but I mean, at the same time, you'd also be like, it's a very strange form of marketing considering he's never done anything like this before. And then also, a lot of these shoes which he was showing off really did look like they had been there for a long time. So unless he's been planning this for years, I can't wrap my head around that side of things. But I guess that's all we know as of right now. And he has said now that it's been handed over to authorities, so maybe they've changed their mind. Let me know, do you guys think this is real? Is it fake? Is it strange? Do you have an explanation for all of this? Let me know in the comments. But with that all being said, I love you guys. I will see you on Thursday or Friday, and until then, goodbye.